Spine-chilling terrifying. 7 haunted Reddit confessions exposed in forbidden threads. Anna sat alone in the break room of the Rusty Spoon. The dim light flickered above her like a dying firefly. She scrolled through her phone, half-heartedly laughing at memes until she stumbled upon a subreddit titled Confessions from Beyond the Grave. The title sent a chill racing down her spine. The confessions weren't just casual tales. They were dark secrets tied to her very neighborhood. Tales of abuse and hidden horrors lurking behind smiles. She felt the hairs on her neck prick up. A shiver twisted through her gut, tightening in an icy grip. With each post, her heart pounded harder. One neighbor, just 4 houses down, had been hiding a history of violent outbursts, masked by a facade of welcome waves. Another, the trusted principal at Jake's school, had claimed to have lost control while dealing with some students. Each revelation twisted her insides, making her sense of security crumble like the paint on her own front door. This wasn't just gossip. It was a warning, a haunting echo of all that once was a vibrant community now choking on its dark past. Days started passing like an ominous blur, the sun setting too early, the shadows crawling. Late-night customers at the diner became a backdrop to her spiraling anxiety. As she poured coffee for the few patrons gracing her tables, she began receiving cryptic messages. "I see you," one read, chilling her to the bone. The anonymity gnawed at her. Every time she kissed Jake goodnight, she felt eyes staring at her. Who knew her routine? Who was watching? Before we continue, I need to tell you something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system, and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Desperation clawed at her, and with no trust in the local police who dismissed her fears as exaggeration, she turned to Cassie, her co-worker. Cassie was wild-eyed, believing in all sorts of local folklore and tales of spirits avenging wrongs. In Willow Creek, secrets fester, she said, hyperventilating. You dig deep enough, you might wake the past. You might find more than you bargained for. The ordinary had become terrifying. Anna realized every friendly face might be hiding something sinister. The light laughter from the neighborhood barbecue sounded almost mocking now. And when Jake mentioned that he'd seen a man watching him from a van parked across the street, nightmares lurked everywhere as she lay awake. The weight of her world pressed on her chest. Paranoia became her only companion. When the creaking of the house melded with whispers from the shadows, she couldn't tell what was real anymore. Her world, once familiar, twisted into a maze of fear. Then the latest message came as she checked her phone before sleep. "I see you." An image popped up, a recent photo of her precious Jake standing outside their home, a mere few minutes ago. Frozen in horror, Anna clutched her phone, gasping for breath, staring at her son. The innocent boy playing unaware. Who was out there? And why were they watching? Anna's eyes darted around the room like a trapped animal. The walls seemed to close in, suffocating in their familiarity, transforming into a cage of dread. The shadows that loomed just outside her door felt solid, pressed against the glass, waiting. She threw the covers off and stumbled to Jake's room, her heart racing. He was asleep, innocent and completely unaware. The soft rising and falling of his chest should have calmed her, but her mind was a storm, swirling with horror. She reached out, brushing her fingers against his forehead, checking for warmth, reassurance that everything was okay. But the photo of him outside refused to leave her mind. Pacing the room, she felt the walls whisper secrets in a language too terrible to understand. Something was wrong. This was not just a prank or a sick joke. Someone was watching. She couldn't shake off that sensation, the prickling surety that eyes were trained on her, shadowing her every move. As dawn's light seeped through the curtains, she decided to confront her fears. Without a second thought, she pulled out her phone and scrolled through the subreddit again. This time, her heart raced not just with anxiety, but with something darker, a morbid curiosity intertwining with terror. Maybe this would lead to answers. What if the key to her safety was hidden in those confessions? She read through tales of loss and betrayal, of curses cast upon unsuspecting neighbors, each line tightening the grip of fear around her. She stumbled upon a post titled "Never Ignore the Signs." A chill swept down her spine as the user described seeing shadows flitting across yards, dark figures appearing just out of sight, and then disappearing when approached. "They're watching," the confession warned. "They want something. Be vigilant." Suddenly, her phone vibrated, pulling her from the growing sense of dread. Hard in her throat, she saw another message flash across the screen: "Not safe at home." The words drove a spear of ice into her chest. Was this a friend, an ally, or a tormentor? She could feel a rising urge to flee, yet linked to that was a dread of leaving Jake behind. If she ran, what would happen to him? That was the crux of it, the terrible irony of her maternal instincts battling against the instinct to survive herself. She grabbed her keys, her fingers trembling. Maybe she was being paranoid. Maybe she was jumping to conclusions too quickly. But then, thoughts of the man in the van ripped through her mind. The terror coiled tighter. She had to check on Jake. As she stepped into the hallway, she hesitated. The floorboards creaked under her weight, each sound a whispered warning. A shadow passed by under the front door, flickering like a flame, quickly snuffed out. Anna held her breath. The feeling of being watched seeped into her very bones. She bolted to Jake's room, flinging the door open. Her heart dropped. It was empty. The bed was neatly made, but Jake was gone. Where could he be? Panic erupted, clawing at her throat like choking vines. Suddenly, a loud thud echoed from the back of the house. Anna caught her breath, dread crawling towards her throat. She peered down the hallway. "Jake?" she called, her voice trembling. Silence. Then, a whisper, soft yet discernible, eerily familiar. "I told you I see you." Anna's blood ran cold. She backed against the wall, searching the shadows, ready to confront whatever pursued her. The house held its breath, but she couldn't let fear paralyze her. Jake was out there. She had to find him. With one last look at the empty doorway, she steeled herself. Each step felt heavier. What awaited her turned into a swirling vortex of nightmarish possibilities. As she moved closer to the back door, a sudden realization struck her like a lightning bolt. She wasn't alone after all. The realization hung heavily in the air as she opened the door, and the world outside shifted just out of sight. Something stirred in the dark recesses of her backyard. What had she awoken? The cold air hit Anna's face like a slap, sending a shiver coursing through her body. She stepped out onto the porch, heart thundering in her chest. The world seemed muted, sounds absorbed by the morning fog that rolled through her backyard. The trees loomed, their branches twisting like skeletal fingers against the gray sky. "Jake!" she shouted again, her voice swallowed by the fog. Moving with urgency, she stepped off the porch and onto the damp grass. It was a surreal landscape, quiet, too quiet like the calm before a storm. The thud she heard earlier pulsed through her mind like an insistent drumbeat. Where was Jake? As she ventured deeper into the backyard, she felt an unshakable sensation, like icy fingers tracing down her spine. Something was out there, watching, waiting. The hairs on her neck prickled. A rustle came from the far end of the yard, past the old shed that had long been abandoned. Anna hesitated, a knot tightening in her stomach. The shed stood like a dark sentinel, its door hanging ajar, creaking slightly as the wind nudged it open. "Jake?" she called softly, pushing through the thickening mist that curled around her like tendrils of dread. She wanted nothing more than to turn back, but her feet seemed to move of their own accord. Each step felt like betrayal against her instincts. Silence roared around her, pressing against her eardrums. "Mom." She froze. The soft, fragile voice shattered the silence. "Jake?" she rasped, heart soaring as hope ignited a flicker deep within her. From the shadows of the shed, Jake emerged slowly, a figure stumbling out, wild-eyed and disheveled. Relief washed over her, though it was tainted by the underlying fear that consumed her. "Are you okay?" She rushed towards him, kneeling to meet his gaze, searching for any sign of harm. "What are you doing out here?" His face was ghostly pale, lips trembling slightly. "I was playing hide and seek, but it got dark." "Playing? With who?" She shot a glance around, scanning the yard, half expecting something or someone to emerge from the haze. "A man," he whispered. "He told me it was time." The blood drained from her face. "What do you mean? What man, Jake?" The boy's eyes shone with innocent confusion. The man with the van, he said he'd make sure we could play forever. Panic gnawed at her insides. The van. The images from the subreddit flooded her mind. The warnings of predators lurking at the edges of childhood innocence. Did he hurt you? She pushed, clutching his shoulders, eyes searching his face for any betrayal of fear. No, he said slowly. He said I had to wait for you to find me. Something twisted inside Anna at his words. It felt like a trap, a thread unspooling deeper and darker. Jake, we have to go inside. Now. She turned, scanning the perimeter of the yard. The trees, the shadows melding into one another, feeling the weight of unseen eyes upon her again. They were watching. Suddenly, the light breeze shifted, and a whisper cut through the fog. Another voice, deeper, colder. You should never come outside. A chill gripped her heart as she spun back to Jake. He was staring at something behind her, his eyes wide and glassy, like he was frozen in fear. Don't turn around, Mom, he warned, though his voice trembled, but it was too late. Anna felt the chill sweep over her like ice water, and deep in that darkness, something moved. The air thickened with dread. Whatever it was, it had been waiting, watching, and now it was here. Run, she screamed, adrenaline surging as dread exploded within her chest. But as they spun to flee, a dark figure stepped from the shadows, grinning widely, obscuring the yard behind with its ominous looming presence. The whispers grew louder, echoing through the morning mist as Anna felt the ground shift beneath her feet. She grasped Jake's hand tighter, pulling him to her as the air weighed heavy with impending horror. What had they awoken? And as darkness encroached, they knew this was only the beginning. Anna's heart raced, a surge of primal fear pouring through her veins as the dark figure loomed closer. The way it twisted in the fog, elongated shadows stretching unnaturally, sent bile rising in her throat. Mom. Jake's voice was barely a whisper, a plea that hung in the thick mist around them. The figure's smile widened, revealing teeth that gleamed too white against the darkness, a grotesque mimicry of cheerfulness. I've been waiting for you both, it said, voice silky smooth, yet laced with something darker. A chill ran down Anna's spine, freezing her in place. Who are you? She demanded, forcing the words out through lips that felt numb. The urgency to run surged like a tide, but her body refused to obey. Oh, just a friend, it replied casually, stepping further into view. The shadows danced across its face, momentarily revealing void-like eyes that held a depth of darkness she couldn't comprehend. Stay close to me, Jake, she stammered, inching sideways, trying to guide him away while keeping the figure in her line of sight. The atmosphere felt charged, as if the very air weighed against them, pushing down with the weight of dread. The figure laughed softly, a sound devoid of warmth, flicking through the fog like an echo. You're not in any danger yet. Let us go, Jake. Now. Anna's voice trembled, her resolve hardening as she yanked at his hand, pulling him toward the house. It felt as though the very ground resisted her, something sinister coiling beneath the surface, trying to pull them back into the shadows. But the moment they turned, a rush of wind whipped through the yard, throwing cold tendrils around them, making visibility impossible. The whispers crescendoed into a cacophony, syllables distorted, scratching at her mind, leaving her disoriented in a desperate bid for clarity. Anna pressed her back against the doorframe of the house, panting, clutching Jake tightly against her. We have to hide, she gasped, her eyes wide, darting around for any signs of movement in the swirling mist. Without answering, Jake pushed against her, peeking through the doorway. Mom, the man is coming, he murmured, fear lacing his voice. Shoo, she hissed, pulling him just inside, the looming figure still barely visible in the shifting fog. The dark presence began to drift forward, stepping closer to the porch, its form becoming more defined in the muted daylight. Each footstep echoed ominously, as if the ground itself recognized it. Anna could barely breathe, sensing that something was wrong, not just wrong, but deeply, unnervingly wrong. Suddenly, the figure stopped. It tilted its head, as if listening for something just out of reach. And then, it spoke again, the voice wrapping around her like a vice. You can't hide forever, Anna. The games are just beginning. Her blood turned to ice as she turned to Jake, seeing the confusion and fear etched across his small face. What did he mean? Mom, I don't want to play anymore, Jake whimpered, clutching her tightly. But before Anna could respond, the shriek of twisted laughter filled the air, a sound that pierced the fog and sent a shiver through her very bones. The figure lifted a hand, pointing toward the window, and she felt a rush of air as the fog began to swirl violently, coiling into patterns that became almost hypnotic. Don't look, Anna shouted, the urgency in her voice lost in the surrounding chaos as she instinctively covered Jake's eyes, whispering desperately, "Close your eyes." The laughter echoed louder, resonating with a familiar darkness that clawed at her sanity. "You will play whether you want to or not," the figure intoned, a sinister promise that curled around her heart. And then, everything went silent. The stillness pressed in, thick and suffocating. Anna held her breath, dread coiling tightly in her gut. What if playing was the only way to survive? The moment hung heavily as she blinked through the darkness. The shadows around her were shifting, and just a beat away, the air felt charged with something ancient and cruel, waiting for its chance. Was there a way to fight back, or were they doomed to be mere pawns in this twisted game? As the fog thickened once more, obscuring the figure that had become all too real, Anna gripped Jake tighter, knowing they had to make a choice. And as the whispering began again, crawling back into her ears, she realized there was no way to escape without confronting what lay ahead. She could feel it, a tugging, leading her towards an uncertain fate. What was the true cost of playing? And would they be strong enough to face whatever was coming? The silence shattered like glass, the weight on Anna's chest pressing down harder, suffocating. She squeezed Jake's shoulder, feeling the tremor in his small frame, his fear radiating into her skin like an electric shock. Outside, the fog twisted and curled, pouring through every gap in the door, as if trying to invade their sanctuary. Anna's heart raced. She couldn't let that figure win. Couldn't allow it to strip away the one thing that mattered most, her son. Stay right here, Jake, she whispered, the tremor in her voice betraying her resolve. With shaky hands, she reached for the door, her heart pounding against her ribcage like a drum. The moment she opened it just a crack, icy fingers of fog shot inside, wrapping around her, caressing her skin with a spine-chilling touch. The laughter echoed again, mocking, taunting her. She steeled herself, forcing the door wide enough to peek out. What she saw made her scream. The figure stood in the middle of the yard, its face now fully illuminated by the fading twilight. It wasn't just a man, its features warped, grotesque. The eyes were hollow, vast abysses that seemed to pull in the light. "You think hiding makes you safe?" It jeered, voice dripping with sadistic amusement. "Oh, Anna, the play is all around you." Anna slammed the door shut, falling back against it as if it were the only barrier against the madness outside. She locked it, then spun around, her breathing ragged. "We need to find a place to hide," she said, gripping Jake's hand tighter. "Come on." She led him through the shadowy hallways of the old house, heart pounding as they navigated under the peeling paint, and the lingering feeling of despair hung like a noose around their necks. The darkness felt alive, whispering secrets she couldn't hear, but felt deep in her bones. "Mom, where do we hide?" Jake's voice quivered, nearly swallowed by fear. Anna glanced around, taking inventory of their options. "The basement. It's where the old furniture is." She pushed open the door that led to the stairs, clutching Jake's hand firmly as they descended into the gloomy abyss. The air grew colder, damp and musty, a stark contrast to the panicked warmth of the kitchen. Once in the basement, she fumbled for the light switch, her fingers trembling. The bulb flickered, casting long, creeping shadows that danced across the walls. Over there, she pointed to a stack of boxes that seemed to offer some blanket of safety. They climbed behind it, pressing into the corner, their breaths synchronized in hushed urgency. As they settled in, the laughter broke the silence again, clear and close, echoing through the floorboards like a haunting melody. "Where are you?" the figure called out, mocking. "Are you afraid of losing?" It won't be long now. Anna felt her heart lurch. "Jake, stay quiet," she whispered fiercely, covering her mouth with her hand. Their eyes met, wide and filled with terror as they listened to the laughter seep through the foundation hollow. Echoing relentless, the sudden crash above made the floor tremble, sending dust cascading down around them. The figure was coming, and with it came the nauseating realization that this might be the end. "Mom," Jake said, his voice barely above a whisper, his eyes shining with unshed tears. "What do we do?" Anna felt a wave of desperation crash over her. "We fight," she breathed, instinctively clenching her fists. "We will find a way out." But then she remembered the figure's words about the game. What did that even mean? What kind of game was unfolding? The laughter again, this time mixed with sounds that were too human, too familiar. The figure was closing in, and with every echo, the walls felt like they were closing in too. There was no escape from this nightmare. Or was there? Would they have to become players in this dark game? As Anna's mind raced, she noticed the shadows moving differently, circling back. Maybe it wasn't he finished with them, yet maybe they had one chance to flip the script. What lay waiting behind those stacked boxes? Was it victory or their demise? The laughter subsided, replaced by the unsettling silence that wrapped around them like an invisible chain. Anna's heart thudded in her ears, the fear and adrenaline merging into a singular sharp sensation. She strained to listen, breath held tight in her chest. The figure above was toying with them, each echo a taunt, a reminder of their impending doom. "Jake," she whispered, her voice trembling despite her attempt at composure. "Do you see anything we can use?" Jake shook his head, eyes wide and glistening. The flickering bulb cast distorted shapes, creating false images in the gloom. Shadows shifted around them, as if the basement itself was alive, breathing, writhing with menace. As the tremors from above faded, Anna's gaze landed on an old chest in the corner, half hidden behind piles of dust-covered furniture. She edged closer, shoving aside a cobweb chair. Every sound echoed louder now, her own heartbeat a violent drum. "What's in there?" Jake asked, peering up at her, his innocence striking amidst the chaos. "I don't know, but we need to find out." With a swift motion, she tugged on the chest's rusty latch. The lid creaked open with a groan that echoed through the stillness. Inside, a jumble of forgotten items lay waiting. Broken toys, old clothes, and a flashlight. "Mom." Jake's voice was urgent. "We could use that." Anna snatched it up, her fingers trembling with anticipation. Shining it towards the far corners of the basement sent shadows dancing, revealing more of the dusty prison they found themselves in. She turned the beam toward the wall and saw something glimmer. "Wait," she said, focusing. It wasn't just dust. It was writing. She took a step closer, the air thickening as she ran her fingers over the letters etched into the wood. "Help us," it read. "They came for us." We couldn't escape. A chill crept down Anna's spine. "Jake, look at this. Someone else was trapped down here." They didn't survive. The realization slammed into her. If there had been others, what happened to them? Were they still here, lost in the echoes of despair? The oppressive weight of dread settled deeper into her gut. Suddenly, more laughter burst through the floorboards. Closer this time. "Mom!" Jake shrieked, darting back into her arms. "It knows we're down here," Anna whispered, grip tightening around Jake. The flashlight flickered faintly, the beam weakening like her resolve. "We have to hurry." She shoved the items back into the chest, searching for anything that could help. They needed a weapon or something, anything to defend themselves. Her fingers brushed against something cold metal. "Jake, look!" she gasped, pulling out an old, rusted shovel. It was too heavy, but it was something. She could swing it, at least. "Is it going to fight off the monster?" Jake asked with wide eyes full of dread. "Maybe it will give us a chance to escape." Before Anna could finish, the basement door swung open with a loud bang, and cold fog poured in like an invading force, snaking across the floor. She barely had time to react as the figure materialized in the doorway, its grotesque face grinning through the mist. "Playtime is over," it sneered, voice slithering through the air. "Now, let us see how well you fight." Anna's grip on the shovel tightened as she raised it defensively. "Stay behind me, Jake." The creature stepped into the basement, fog curling around its limbs. Its hollow eyes locked onto hers, and cold fear pierced through her body. Then the laughter came again, filling the space, intertwining with the fog that clawed at her skin. Endless rounds. Anna, think fast. The shadows flickered. The fog thickened. Anna took a deep breath, steeling herself for a fight she knew they might not win. It was all or nothing now. As she prepared to charge forward, The floorboards creaked ominously beneath them. Were they truly prepared to face whatever game awaited them? What if it wasn't just a game, but a culmination of all the fears they never dared confront? And what if escaping meant confronting the darkness within themselves? Anna had never felt more alive or more terrified as she braced for the unthinkable. Anna's heart raced as the grotesque figure advanced, the fog swirling around it like a living shadow. She could see the glimmer of its teeth, sharp and yellow, as its lips curled into a malicious grin. Her mind screamed at her to run, to flee back up the stairs, but instinct kept her rooted. "Think fast, Anna," the creature taunted, looming closer, eyes filled with an unholy delight. It relished in their fear, feeding off it like a parasite. "Jake!" Anna's voice surged. "Get behind me." She felt the metal of the shovel cold in her hands as she prepared for an attack. The shovel wasn't much, but it was all she had. The creature laughed again, a sound that echoed with promises of pain. It took another step forward, and the floor creaked beneath its weight, a reminder that they were trapped, prisoners in this nightmare. Anna swung the flashlight, illuminating its chilling features. The face warped in the light, revealing more than just terror. There was desperation hidden there, a hint of lost souls crying for help. "Is it your turn to play?" It hissed, flicking its tongue like a snake. With a rush of adrenaline, Anna tightened her grip on the shovel. A side of her wanted to defend Jake at all costs, but another slice of reality whispered that perhaps this game was inside her mind, a test of courage against her deepest fears. "Mom, what do we do?" Jake's voice trembled, a slight sob breaking through as he clutched her waist. "Stay still," she ordered, eyes darting from the creature to the basement doorway where the fog continued to billow in. They could still escape. There had to be a way. "Simon, sweet girl, time is ticking," it taunted, leering at her. The fog twisted around its legs, revealing flashes of shadowy limbs, hinting at other forms trapped within its grasp. Were there more than just the two of them in this hell? Suddenly, a loud crash echoed from above, a thunderous noise that rattled the walls. The laughter faltered, replaced by a moment of confusion on the creature's face. Seizing the opportunity, Anna felt a surge of courage. "Run," she instructed, pushing Jake toward the stairs. They had to escape this haunted pit before it was too late. "Where do we go?" Jake cried, wide-eyed. "Anywhere but here." She felt the beast's gaze turn back toward her, cold and hungry. With no time to waste, Anna brandished the shovel and swung it with all her strength, aiming at the figure. It stumbled backward, a howl of rage escaping its lips. They bolted for the stairs, the fog curling around their feet like the fingers of the damned. Heart racing, Anna glanced back, compelled by fear and fury. The creature was regaining its composure, eyes locked onto her with an intensity that made her skin crawl. "Run, Jake. Don't stop." She tore up the steps, the door to freedom looming at the top. But the ground shook beneath them. The shadows chattered as if whispering secrets, urging them to turn back. "Mom, it's coming. Keep moving." She propelled them up, determination eclipsing her terror. The creature lunged, a misty arm reaching out, and Anna felt a rush of dread. She was angry now. Then, just as they reached the door, she felt something grasp her leg. Cold fingers tightened around her ankle, pulling her back into the darkness. "Don't fight it," the creature hissed. "Join them." With a terrible wrench, Anna kicked away, taking hold of the doorknob with desperate hands. Just a little bit further. With a surge of adrenaline, she yanked the door open, pulling Jake through. But outside, they found only the chill of the night air and the echo of their screams. The house behind them shifted, a grotesque shadow looming above, whispering promises of a return. "What now?" Jake panted, wide-eyed and quivering. "We have to find help, anyone." Anna gasped, glancing back at the looming darkness, a promise of something still lurking. Unbeknownst to them, the laughter resumed, an echo that would follow them wherever they went, a harbinger of the horrors yet to unfold. "Mom," Jake whispered, "I think it wants us back." As they stepped away from the house, a fog rolled in, swallowing the night. All around them was silence, save for the distant laughter echoing on the wind. What had they truly unleashed? And could they escape the grasp of the shadows for good? Anna's breath came in quick, shallow gasps, each exhale mingling with the biting chill that crept in from the fog. The night felt alive, alive with shadows and whispers that danced around her like demons just out of sight. Jake clung to her side, a trembling mass of fear and panic. "Mom, what do we do now?" he whispered, his young voice barely cutting through the quiet. Anna placed a finger to her lips, trying to remain calm, even as dread clawed at her gut. The laughter echoed again, this time closer, taunting them in the stillness. She felt it vibrating deep within her, chilling her to the bone. There had to be a way out of this nightmare. "Keep your eyes peeled, Jake." She motioned for him to stay close. "We need to find somewhere safe." They stumbled forward, the clarity of their previous moment entangled with terror. Each step felt heavy, as if the ground resented their escape, hindering their progress with unseen forces. But the fog swirled about them, thick and suffocating, reminding her that they were never truly free. "Look," Jake pointed, his finger trembling. "That light there." In the distance, a flickering glow broke through the mist. Anna squinted, her heart pounding with cautious hope. "Maybe it's someone who can help us," she said, urging Jake forward. As they approached, the light brightened. It pulsed like a heartbeat, inviting yet sinister. Anna felt a shiver race down her spine, but pushed it aside. They needed direction, safety. "Please, let it be a house or refuge," she muttered under her breath. But as they drew closer, the light seemed to warp, dancing erratically in ways that defied logic. "Mom, it looks strange," Jake said, halting in his tracks. "No, we can't stop now," Anna urged, but her resolve wavered. A sense of dread washed over her as they stepped into the glow. The world around them shifted, the air thickening with whispers that seemed to come from nowhere and everywhere at once. "Welcome," a voice echoed around them, lilting and mocking, a chorus of twisted tones. An apparition formed, indistinct yet undeniable. The figure emerged from the flickering light, a hazy silhouette of a child, its face obscured by dripping shadows. "Join us," it said, reaching out with pale, bony fingers. Anna felt her heart lurch. "No, get back." She grabbed Jake, attempting to pull him away, but he was frozen. "Jake, come on. We have to go?" "No." He stared, entranced. "It wants me, Mom. Don't you see?" "Jake, no. It's not real." She shook him, panic swarming through her. The voice wove through her mind, binding her fears into an overwhelming urge to surrender. The figure beckoned, a flicker of something deeper in its gaze, an echo of innocence turned to darkness. "We can help you find peace." Anna felt her resolve cracking. We have to stay together." She pulled at Jake's arm harder, and with that, he snapped back to reality, confusion flooding his eyes. "Mom, I don't want to go," he whimpered. "Neither do I," she shouted, gripping the shovel with desperate strength. "Plant your feet. We are not giving in." The fog thickened, swirling around them as the figure's laughter, now fused with agony, tore through the air. Shadows lunged out from all sides, wrapping around Anna's ankles, tugging, begging her to surrender. "No, we want tea." Her body felt heavy, but adrenaline surged through her veins. "Run," she shouted, and in a burst of energy, they bolted away from the light and into the consuming darkness once more. But the whispers grew louder, a cacophony of lost souls echoing her name, pulling her back. As they fled, Anna sensed an insatiable hunger pursuing them, a malevolence that wouldn't allow them to escape so easily. Just as they turned a corner, a blinding light erupted from behind them, illuminating the path ahead. What lay beyond the light? Could it be salvation or another trap laid out? In that moment, Anna knew they couldn't stop. They needed to keep running from the darkness, running toward the unknown. Because she could feel it, something was waiting just ahead, something that might demand a sacrifice neither of them were ready to give. Was there any chance for survival at all? The light was blinding, swallowing Anna and Jake in its fierce glow. She stumbled forward, dragging her son alongside her, eyes squeezed shut against the intensity. When she dared to open them again, they emerged into a place that felt both alien and familiar. The clearing opened before them, but it wasn't as comforting as she had hoped. The ground was littered with twisted roots and gnarled stones, all entangled like the fingers of the damned reaching up from the earth. Strange mist danced at their feet, and the air was thick with an unearthly scent, a foul mix of rot and decay. "Mom, what is this place?" Jake whimpered, his small voice trembling as he pressed closer to her side. I don't know, Anna replied, forcing her voice to remain steady. She scanned their surroundings, desperation clawing at her throat. There was no sign of safety, only an ominous murmuring that slithered through the trees like a predator stalking its prey. A sudden crash echoed from the darkness beyond the clearing, followed by the sound of rustling leaves. Anna's heart leaped into her throat. Jake, stay behind me. They could hear laughter again, but this was different. It was harsh, brittle, filled with malice. This was no innocent child playing in a meadow. This was a den of horrors. Come out, Anna shouted, trembling yet defiant. What do you want from us? The laughter stopped. An eerie silence settled, creeping along her skin like icy fingers. In that awful stillness, an outline emerged from the gloom, a tall, gaunt figure draped in tattered clothing, its face obscured by a shadowy hood. Lost, it said, voice low and resonant, like thunder rumbling far off. You seek refuge, but this is no sanctuary. Who are you? Anna demanded, panic rising. The figure stepped forward, revealing a pale face, lips stretched into a cruel grin. I am but a keeper of the lost, and you are quite the prize. Are you prepared to sacrifice your purity for your boy? No. Anna's heart raced even faster. I want to sacrifice anything. We just want to find our way home. Home, the figure echoed, tilting its head with curiosity. This is home now. Abandon all hope, or embrace your destiny. Jake clutched at Anna, his small hand shaking. Mom, I don't like this. I want to go home. You will come to understand, my dear, the figure whispered, moving closer. That home is a construct. It can be twisted, transformed, or lost forever. With that, the figure stretched its arms wide, and more shadows poured from the trees, swirling and forming shapes that danced in the corners of Anna's vision. It was as if the very darkness was alive, hungry to consume them. In that moment, Anna felt desperation pull at her soul, but a flicker of anger ignited within. We're not yours to take, she screamed, gripping the shovel tighter. I want to give in, then run. If you can, the figure hissed, the shadows lunging forward like hungry wolves breaking free. Mom, Jake cried, and without thinking, Anna turned, dragging him back towards the fog as the dark mass chased them. She felt the cold breath of despair at her heels, a fetid stench of death and sorrow closing in. Forward they rushed, the fog swallowing them again as both terror and determination propelled them into the unknown. There was no clear path, just a frantic scramble through the unseen, a sinister laughter cascading behind them like a malevolent wave. Anna's chest tightened as they sprinted deeper. Exhaustion clawed at her limbs, but she couldn't stop. Not now. Look, Jake gasped, pointing ahead. Another light flickered in the distance, but it felt wrong. Something deeper than darkness lurked within it. Mom, what if that's Jake? We have to take the chance. But as they hurried toward it, she felt the weight of the shadows clinging to her back, a relentless pull towards the void. Will we have to pay? He asked, fear lacing his voice. With every ounce of courage, Anna replied, only if we let them. But behind their racing footsteps, the laughter grew louder, tumbling through the fog like ice. What awaited them in the light, hope or horrible fate? Just one thought burned bright in her mind. They couldn't look back now, because out of the darkness, something was following, and it wouldn't stop until it got what it wanted, or claimed them both. What would they find waiting for them once they reached the flickering glow? As they raced toward the flickering light, Anna held Jake's hand tightly, fear propelling them to keep moving despite the exhaustion weighing in their limbs. Shadows loomed around them, coiling like mist, whispering secrets that pricked at her consciousness. It felt as if the darkness itself was a living, breathing entity, agitated, hungry. Don't look back, she shouted, forcing the words out, urgency thickening her voice. She could feel the laughter behind them, that cruel, taunting echo, growing closer, as if it was feeding on their fear. The light ahead got brighter, stronger. It flickered like a heartbeat, pulsing with strange energy. Mom, what if it's another trap? Jake asked, panic threading through his voice. We have to trust our instincts, she replied, her heart pounding. We have nothing else. Then they reached the light. Anna stepped through the threshold, a surge of warmth washing over them, but it felt strange, otherworldly. The space opened up into a vast room, walls made of shimmering white light, shimmering as if woven from dreams. It felt almost welcoming, yet her gut twisted with unease. "Where are we?" Jake whispered, scanning the room as the eerie laughter faded behind them. "I don't know, but if it's safe, we have to hide. Just a moment. Maybe it's a place for lost souls," but as she looked deeper into the light, she noticed faint figures moving in and out of the glow, lost souls flickering in and out just as the walls glimmered. "Mom!" Jake shrieked, pointing as another figure glided closer. This one was different. A child, much like Jake, but with hollow eyes and a smile that seemed made of shadows. "Help us!" The child called, voice sweet and inviting. "You're safe here. Don't listen," Anna yelled, fear spiking again as she pulled Jake close. The moment she did, she felt a strong gust of wind rush through the room, a signal that this sanctuary held its own perils. "What do you want from us?" Anna demanded, her voice echoing in the luminous chamber. "Only what you wish to give," the child echoed, eyes glinting with a cruel mirth. "Stay with us. No worries. Just play." "No," Anna shouted, fury rising, determined not to be swayed. "I'm not playing your game." Suddenly, the air shifted, as if the room itself exhaled. The figures in the light began to swirl, faces contorting into expressions of anguish, hints of those who had surrendered their souls. "Run, Jake," Anna commanded. They darted deeper into the light, longing for an exit. But shadows followed, tendrils slipping through the cracks, growing more aggressive. "Leave now or remain forever." The cruel laughter echoed as the figures swarmed closer. Anna gripped the shovel tightly, heart racing, despair clawing at the edges of her resolve. A beam of clarity broke through her confusion. This wasn't just about escaping darkness. It was about fighting back against it. She raised the shovel, her breath catching. "You want to take my son," she shouted, and in a moment of pure determination, she swung the rusty tool toward the nearest shadow. The moment the metal connected, a spark shot through the air, illuminating the room with blinding light. The cacophony fell silent. "Hurry!" Anna cried as they sprinted towards an archway that appeared an exit into the ethereal glow spilling through. Maybe there was a path through light, a chance at escape without making a choice that dictated their fate forever. Just before stepping through, Anna glanced back. A mist churned violently behind them, shadows writhing in a rage against the light. "Mom," Jake pleaded. In that moment, Anna felt the weight of every decision they had ever made, every fear they had faced. "Together," she said, squeezing Jake's hand. "We can do this together." They leapt through the archway. Light engulfed them, a chorus of white and warmth wrapping around them like a comforting embrace. The shadows recoiled, shrieking as their connection splintered. And just like that, they were outside again into the real world, the mist dissolving around them. They stood in the front yard of their home, breaths hitching as dawn crested over the horizon. It was serene, beautiful. Everything felt normal again. Did we make it?" Jake asked, looking up, eyes wide. "Yes, we did," Anna breathed, heart still racing yet a warmth spreading through her now, an illumination of hope. Reality embraced them anew, but as they looked around, a familiar whisper floated on the morning breeze, sending shivers down Anna's spine. "Remember, you can't hide forever." Their hearts raced. They had escaped, yes. But Anna turned to Jake, pulling him into a tight hug. "We have to be vigilant," she whispered fiercely. "They will always be watching, lurking." But for now, they were together. They could face whatever came next. They had each other. And that was their true defense against the darkness. Just as they walked back into the house together, a flicker of warmth surrounded Anna. For a moment, hope felt as bright as the morning sun. They would fight, together, but the shadows that danced just outside their front door reminded her that some games were far from over. If you have enjoyed this chilling story, now is the time to take action. You need to subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive tales that await. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm and help keep these stories alive. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about this ending. What did you think happened? And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Become part of the community that loves these thrills and chills. Let us keep the fear alive together.